I've got a question for you. If you're preparing some things for a group of people and you don't know if one of them is going to be ready in time or not, would you A, tell them well in advance of time and risk disappointing them, or would you B, not tell them and then if it's ready, surprise them with it? Yeah, me too. So why does CIG keep doing the other thing? About a month ago, CIG made the surprise announcement that we were going to get personalized instance hangars in patch 323. This is a massive step forward in persistence. Now, when you choose your major landing zone, you're going to get an instance hangar at that location. It'll be yours to do with as you will. You can leave it in whatever state you want. You can have all your gear strewn about over the place if you so wish. And rather than just popping into existence in the middle of the hangar, your ships will now come up from the floor on a platform and you'll be able to load them with vehicles and cargo before you ever leave the hangar. It's kind of what people have been after, and it's a big next step towards the gameplay persistence we've been asking for so long. Unfortunately, the roadmap roundup this week had this to say. As part of our final review process, we've concluded that the quality of the cargo features that were targeting the launch of Alpha 323 are not yet at the stage we need them to be for a release to the live servers. They go on to qualify that they're talking about item banks, personal and instanced hangars, cargo hauling missions, and freight elevators. Now, they're not being delayed outside of the patch, they are just being pushed back to a point patch, but it got me thinking. Why do CIG risk needless disappointment in its supporters and backers and attracting bad press from those who are, let's face it, just waiting for another stab at this game? And I'm not sure I have an answer for that. Now, of course, disappointment with missed deadlines are going to be a thing for game development, especially something like Star Citizen that's doing iterative game development. Doing something that other people haven't done before means that you know what you want to do, you're just not quite sure on how to get there. So even when things seem like they're running on rails and you're set for a release, some speed bump's going to come up in the way and it's going to slow everything down and things will get delayed. We have seen that time and time again, and I think everyone, supporter or detractor of Star Citizen, would agree on that. But this isn't that. I'm not taking a stab at the way they're developing the game. I've long said and been a supporter of the way they're doing it. If you're going to do something that other people haven't done before, it's going to take a while to get there. This is something else entirely. Now, what we saw at CitizenCon 2023 was a whole raft of features after Chris made this announcement.
Squadron 42 is now feature complete and has entered its polish phase.
Up until this point, Squadron 42 had been the development focus for some time, and now that it's where it is, lots of devs are coming back across to the PTU, bringing with them what they can and increasing the pace of development. And CitizenCon certainly gave us that impression. There were rafts of features and improvements that everyone had been waiting for a long time, and everyone agreed, if you look at the titles of videos and what people were saying back at the time, 2024 was going to be a big year for Star Citizen. So this brings me to the question about persistent hangars. That announcement was made a month ago, and it was made before the final review. Going back to the wording of that delay post on the roadmap, it says during the final review. So they'd announced it before they'd reviewed it. And this seems to keep happening. Now, they hadn't promised this particular feature as part of CitizenCon, so it wasn't like they felt any pressure to update us as to what was going on. It was almost a show-off thing. Look at how many things we're bringing across now that Squadron 42 is feature complete, and we're going to add one more thing to that list: persistent hangars. Now, of course, there is lots of technical debt and everything else that's going on in the background with the separation of the replication layer, the steps, the final steps we hope towards static server meshing and everything else. Of course, these are precisely the speed bumps that I mentioned earlier. My issue is, why was it mentioned before that final review at all? It's a video. A video could have waited until after the review date. This has happened so many times with Star Citizen. It almost feels like CIG know that there are going to be delays. They know that they're going to miss deadlines. They know that they're going to disappoint people. They did this again previously with the subscriber item reclamation terminal. So when you get your subscriber flare or your stuff that you would get in competitions, like the Xenothreat Overdrive stuff that's going on at the moment, if that gets lost, then you can actually reclaim that back through a terminal, or at least that's the plan. They'd announced that as all coming in 3.23, and then a matter of weeks later had removed it again. And as we can see now, we are almost at the end of the first month of Q2, and still no Q1 patch. So there was obviously no rush to get this information out. There's no reason why the persistent hangars and everything couldn't have happened at the time of release or just immediately afterwards to let everyone know what was going on. Hell, an extra surprise video to go with the release would have been fine. So there were no pressures to get the video out at a certain time that we're aware of. CIG know that there are going to be delays, so it's not like this is a sudden shock. They were aware of the risk when they put the video out. The problem for me is that I was hoping that with the movement of staff from Squadron 42 to Star Citizen, that this was going to be a new leaf in the game's development. I was hoping that what was going to happen now is we're going to see far more deadlines hit, far fewer missed, more features in each patch being delivered, which is only a natural aspiration now that you're moving more devs across. And even so, that first patch now, after CitizenCon, the first full patch with the staff now working on it, we are straight back into delays. Those people who want to have a stab at Star Citizen and Squadron 42 and everything else can say once again that nothing has really changed, because we're still having disappointing delays that really don't need to happen. This delay could have been kept behind closed doors, and if it made it into 3.23, surprise! If it didn't make it into 3.23, no one would have been any the wiser, and this sense of disappointment that people are now feeling would not have had to have occurred at all. If I was to phrase this another way, I would say that we understand that freight elevators and cargo hauling missions need more work. We understand that the delays to these things were inevitable, just as it was with persistent hangars. But you've been talking, CIG, about cargo elevators and cargo hauling for quite some time. This surprise feature, which would have been great to have bundled in with 3.23, which you could now bundle in with a point patch as a surprise with a video imminently before or after release, has now turned into yet something else that people are disappointed about. And this isn't the way we wanted the year to start. Really looking forward to all the other features that are coming in 3.23. I'm still massively hyped. I still believe, unsurprisingly, that this year is going to be very good for Star Citizen, given how many features are coming. But when you really support a project, it's just as justified to call out the things you think need to change as the things you can't wait for. You've been watching Drinkers with Game Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. See you soon.